Victoria?
So we are talking The Remains. This one directed by Thomas Della Bella and stars Todd Lowe. Now you may know Todd Lowe from True Blood, where he played Terry Blauflower. I think the character's name was Terry Blauflower. And he plays a somewhat similar character here. Basically a kind of a guy who is mentally stretched to the end of his tether. Basically his wife has recently passed away. He moves into a large spooky house with his kind of two young kids and teenage daughter. And of course, this house has basically got a bit of a past. We see a prologue at the beginning of the movie where there's kind of a seance that goes wrong. And as the film progresses, obviously there's spooky stuff that happens. The neighbours seem to kind of know something of what's going on, and things get progressively worse for our family. So basically it's somewhat of a standard haunted house film. It seems to me that it's trying to kind of rival the Conjuring in the way that the story is being told. I would say that's the film that it's aiming to be closest to, but does it succeed? I've got to say, no, it doesn't. Let's talk about the poster for the first thing, because I feel the poster is a little misleading. A lot of the marketing materials I've seen that focuses on this dollhouse, although it is a doll's house, it really has nothing to do with the plot, so don't be expecting kind of evil dolls. But what it is pretty much standard haunted stuff. We've got kind of people, like a figure walking behind the background, doors slamming, stuff like that. The problem is, this film takes ages to get going. It's a real... you feel there's not much going on. Although there are a couple of occurrences happening, the plot doesn't feel like it's being moved forward. And when we do see stuff, it's not particularly impressive what we see. There's kind of like it's this kind of spooky looking woman all kind of dressed in black, who's basically the kind of the woman who did the seance in the prologue. But ultimately, I feel that visually there's nothing particularly sort of like spectacular about it either. And ultimately I feel the other thing as well is when you get to the conclusion of this movie, the actual climax and what happens at the end, I feel, will be somewhat unsatisfying for a lot of people, and it's kind of something that you've seen before in horror films basically. So I don't feel this film really has a lot of originality in it at all, and it doesn't have that kind of that visual flourish or that kind of that hook that really separates this from any other kind of generic haunted house film. However, let's talk about the positives. I will say the way this is filmed looks very good. It looks like The Conjuring and those kind of like Blumhouse style films in the way that the cameras are set up, the lighting, the set design, all looks kind of similar to that. So the production values do look quite good here. The other thing I do like, I quite like the cast, especially the two younger kid actors. I feel were very strong and gave some good performances, and they're kind of the ones that get affected the most from this kind of spirits. And at the beginning of the movie, we see they're all quite chirpy, and throughout the movie they kind of get more affected by it, and kind of their performances obviously change to go with that. The guy who plays the lead, Todd Lowe, he kind of plays kind of unhinged quite well, but it's more or less the same that he was doing in True Blood. He does it to a good effect, but there are times where I feel there are a couple of scenes that feel out of place and don't quite make sense. You think, was that a dream sequence? Or that, and has that happened? But I quite liked him, and the kind of the teenage daughter as well. I'm going to veer back into negatives here because her character was horrible. She has no redeeming features whatsoever, and at the end of the movie we kind of root for her basically to become a hero, but we give her nothing throughout the whole film to basically try and sort of get by. She's just like this bitch the whole way through the movie. So I wasn't so keen on that. And there are a couple of things here that's like I kind of alluded to earlier on that do feel slightly out of place, and think, man, I don't quite understand how that fits in. And why has this guy literally had a conversation with a spirit up in the roof, then doesn't really say anything about it or kind of act upon it? Anyway, there you go. So overall, I'm going to give this movie a 4.5 out of 10. It's pretty average, to be honest with you. If you've seen it, what did you think of it? Leave a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.